Hello, welcome to Canna News Africa, your weekly update on cannabis news from South Africa and around the African continent. Linda, how's it, my brother? How are you?
I'm good, Trenton. Very good. Very cold here in Cape Town at the moment. How's it? That's your side, that there in Kenilworth.
Yeah, we're only two blocks away, so it's also very cold here, but all good. The sun is out. Yeah, not so much the rest of the country. I believe it's freezing in Jersey. And, there's obviously some issues going on in our country at the moment, which are a little bit disturbing, but we'll touch on those a bit later. But I think let's just get straight into it and find out what's hip and happening with the news. Over to Brett Hilton-Barber.
Hi guys, well it might be very cold in Cape Town and all sorts of terrible things happening around the country, but here in Limpopo, we've got a fine sunny day, life carries on as per usual. So from the Canna News Africa news desk, it's me, Brett Hilton. How are you today?
Yeah, all good, Brett, all good. Yeah, we're surviving. I think it's tough times, disappointing times in the country right now, but let's keep focused on cannabis. And look forward to hearing the news update from you.
Right. Well, if the country might be at something of a crossroads at the moment, South African cannabis reform is also at a crossroads. And whether we choose the high road, so to speak, or go the low road, there are profound implications for the country beyond the legal marijuana sector. University of Pretoria academic Mark Wegerif warns that legalization has the potential to bring out the best or the worst in South Africans. But he worries that unless government gets a grip on all the contradictions in the National Cannabis Master Plan, we're definitely heading down the low road, with all the potholes caused by the laws of unintended consequence, starting with the Private Purposes Bill. Let's hear it from Mark Wegerif from the University of Pretoria himself.
The current bill, Private Purposes Bill, is extremely narrow, punitive. That's not going to create the basis for the kind of sector we need. The master plan is much more a step in the right direction, but it still has many gaps and flaws in it. So that needs to be developed. But at least let's appreciate the cabinet has made a decision. They're embracing this. We need to try and build on that and structure it in the right way. Coming to the specific issue of the multitudes of small black farmers who are often bringing important a cash income to some of the most deprived communities in the country and often don't have many other options for sort of profitable land use. They need to be involved. I mean, I would argue that we should immediately legalize at least the small scale production, and because
That's the University of Pretoria's Mark Wegerif. And carrying on in that same vein, for government to take the high road, analyst Ayanda Bam of Friends of Hemp says government has to develop a local market as a basis for international expansion. And that means one main big decision that it has to make: legalize and regulate adult use consumption and allow the cannabis community to benefit economically from this. Meanwhile, police continue to do their job, as it were. There were 2 large cannabis busts in Somerset West and Strand in the Cape last week. Sophisticated hydroponics grow ops in suburban areas, probably supplying Cape Town with a lot of its premium quality indoor. 3 people arrested for what actually should be a completely legal grow-up, satisfying legitimate consumer demands. And finally, a new high-THC medical cannabis strain called Isando is Joburg's latest offering to the world of cannabis. Licensed producer Medcan announced last week that it was launching Isando, named after the suburb where the grow-up is, into the UK. This is South Africa's first dried flower shipment to the UK through an offtake agreement with Rockwell Laboratories and will be available on UK shelves next month. Pity the law doesn't allow South Africans to enjoy the benefits of Isando unless we import it back from the UK. A travesty, but congratulations to Medcan founder, the appropriately named Michael Zollman, for putting South Africa on the UK cannabis map. Back to you guys.
I love that the irony of having to import our own weed back to South Africa because we can't sell it to local people. It just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But yeah, congratulations to those guys. I think the thing is to also remember here is that it's not like you're going to walk into a cannabis club there and be able to go and buy a joint. It's probably more on the medicinal side, but it's great to have South African product on the shelves. And hopefully this will just open the floodgates, for other companies to do the same. So really good news. But again, just a shocking example of how antiquated and retarded laws are here at the moment. We have to move them forward,
Trenton, I agree with you on that. And one of the ironies as well is that we've got to get beyond, or one of the other issues that this raises is that we've got to get beyond seeing medicinal cannabis as something that's high in CBD and low in THC. All the medicinal cannabis that's being exported from South Africa is generally high THC and as high CBD as they can get. But the idea is to use the whole plant. And the problem with the authorities are they're stuck with this idea that they're trying to legislate bits of the plant for different uses. And that's why the law is such a travesty, and that's why we're sitting in this jumble of contradictions.
Absolutely. And I love what Mark had to say, legalize small production. Like, what other solution is there really? They're not going to get licenses. They're not going to grow under GMP, but they sure as hell are going to continue to grow. So I think Mark's insight on that is very valid. Do you think that will work, Kalinda? We just legalize it just in that the sort of Eastern Cape Ponderland region?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cry for that to be happening. A lot of the people that are out there and the activists are really wanting the communities to be involved in this industry that's currently blossoming. And unfortunately, because of the financial constraints and obviously the legal aspects of it, and also, commercializing is an issue. So if they could somehow have some mechanism that they could use in order to beneficiate the rest of the community, that would be an awesome start. And a lot of people are crying out there in Pondoland and Sigisi.
So the next step that comes immediately from that is the whole concept of canna tourism. Imagine tourists coming from overseas to sample Transkei or Ponderland's finest, discover the landrace strains that we have here, THC-V in particular, which is the appetite suppressant one, which wait until that hits the international market when we introduce weed that doesn't give you the munchies.
It's funny you say I went to Malawi many years ago. And I remember how desperate I was to try like some Malawi cob, and this guy brought it to me, and it was wrapped in a cob, and it had been underground and been through that whole process. And it was such a amazing experience to open this wrapped cob up. And I can see it. I can see like all these strains, going into cookies or one of these big stores in America, and like, let's try some African birds. There's just no way that we don't have the opportunity to do this, but it's just so sad that it's taking so long. And I think the master plan, what is this master plan? It does feel like smoke and mirrors. It does feel like lip service. In September, guys, let's remember, in September, it will be 3 years. The September 28th concourse ruling. 3 years, how much legislative process or progress have we had since then? Very, very little, which is very, very disappointing. So I think we are moving forward. There's no doubt about it, but it does need a bit of a kick up the ass. And we really need things to move. And I think there's a great enthusiasm to make that happen. Cool, Brett. We'll come back to you in a minute. Linda, over to Noxy. Sorry. Over to Noxy. He's going to get...
What's up, everybody? I'm so jealous of Brett's weather right now. I wish I was in Limpopo, but here I am, freezing in Johannesburg. I'm the Kush Queen, bringing you all things cannabis and lifestyle today. In cannabis lifestyle, the Good Leaf podcast. In Canna Lifestyle news today, South Africa's darling Maps Mapunyane has recently teamed up with Good Leaf to bring you the Good Leaf podcast.
Welcome to the Good Leaf podcast, a series of conversations about cannabis. We want to plant the seed for change.
Well, according to Good Leaf, the podcast aims to destigmatize this often misunderstood plant and explore its cultural and economic potential by engaging in conversation with inspirational thinkers, change makers, and industry experts. Among MAPS's first guests is our very own Tony Budden, the founder of Hemporium and influential cannabis activist, as well as advisory board member of Cheeba Academy. Maps enthusiastically shared this Instagram post with his fans with the caption, "I always talk about going green, and now it's time to put my money where my mouth is." And as members of the cannabis community, we're always thrilled to see influential people being loud and proud about their support of cannabis community. So good on you, Maps. Back to you, Trenton and Linda.
Thanks, Kush Queen, for the news from
Yeah.
JHP. I think it's amazing that that Maps has got involved. I think that as you rightly say, the more people that are prolific that get involved in this industry, the more it helps destigmatize. He certainly is not a stoner type, so I think has a lot of respect. And I think it's a great move forward. So really happy to see that kind of stuff happening in the industry. Anything else you want to chat about, Brett?
I mean, I'm just really looking forward to seeing more and more celebrities being out there about it, because if we're honest, a lot of us use it, in back rooms and silently just consuming cannabis, and not only just for recreational purposes. A lot of people do use it for whatever ailments or illnesses they have, but because of the stigma, they're still very shy to talk about the fact that actually I'm not really using CBD only for my health and my wellness. I am using THC, but it's very difficult to say given everything that's happening in our country and how our government is actually handling the entire cannabis industry.
Yeah, I think, and the one of the challenges is that we want a recreational market. There is nothing wrong with getting high for recreational purposes, guys. Let's be honest. You can have a few drinks on the weekend and get a bit out of it. We all want to loosen up and relax, and so this whole concept of do some CBD and the sneakiness to the THC has got to change. We've got to allow people to be open about consuming cannabis. So I think it is changing, but I think this podcast is a great example and a great move forward for the industry. So well done to Goodleaf for that.
Well done, Goodleaf.
The one thing that we're struggling with, where education really needs to happen, guys, is in the government mindset, because there are about 22 government departments that are going to be affected by legalization one way or another, by the new definitions of hemp and all the new kind of licensing regimes that are going to come out. And right now, we're still stuck with a strong prohibitionist element within the government. It's not like the ANC is completely united as the ruling party behind the legalization of cannabis. Yes, provinces like Eastern Cape certainly are, but within government, there are very anti-legalization people like Becky Chelly, like Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who come from more of a moralistic point of view. And so one of the problems is trying to get through to people who are in government to get beyond the morality, making the moral judgments about whether getting high is good or bad or whatever, and actually looking beyond that to see how the economy can be unleashed and how this could be a trigger for all sorts of small businesses, communities to actually supply their own, grow their own. And it's very easy. All you have to do is legalize it completely and regulate it in the same way that one would tobacco and alcohol.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Becky likes a few dops, on the weekend. So again, it is perception and perspective. But yeah, I mean, really, it's time to move things forward. I think at rapid speed. Cool, guys. I think that's a wrap.
Well, we have some great comments here from a person called Mo Gray. He says, "Nice beard, Linda." Thank you, Mo Gray, for tuning in. And we also have him commenting on the situation right now, saying pharmaceutical companies will suffer too. So thank you for that. It's definitely something to consider.
And thanks for supporting us. And yeah, I'll work on trimming it a bit more. My wife's always giving me issues about it, but I seem to like it. It takes away the baby face.
Okay, guys.
Thanks for the update, Noxy. Thanks for your update. Thanks for yours.
Cheers from the out there.
Till next time, guys.
Next week. Ciao.